Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Nelson. Here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from the Vatican. Pope Francis sent a video message to participants at the World Congress Against the Death Penalty being held in Brussels. He told them that the abolition of the death penalty represents a courageous affirmation of the principle of the dignity of human person and the conviction that humanity can confront crime while also rejecting evil.
There are 55 countries where the death penalty is still legal. Organizations like Together Against the Death Penalty are working to change their minds. The Pope is also pushing for the full abolition of the death penalty. He says that it is always a serious violation of every person's right to life.
La dignidad de las personas no se pierde aun cuando haya cometido el peor de los crímenes. A nadie se le puede quitar la vida y privarlo de la oportunidad de poder abrazar de nuevo la comunidad a la que hirió e hizo sufrir.
This was part of a message that Pope Francis sent for the World Congress Against the Death Penalty. The Pope says that the worldwide effort to abolish the death penalty underlines the ability to carry out justice in other more humane ways. This Congress is organized by Together Against the Death Penalty and is taking place in Brussels, Belgium.
Here in this country, the Supreme Court, in a 5-3 ruling, is sending a death row case back to the lower courts to determine if the inmate's dementia should prevent him from being executed. Vernon Madison, who killed a police officer in 1985, suffered strokes in recent years that left him blind and with vascular dementia and significant memory loss. He cannot tell what season or day it is, and he doesn't remember committing the crime. Chris Ann Valancourt Murphy, Executive Director of Catholic Mobilizing Network, a group that advocates for restorative justice and an end to the death penalty, said state prison systems are increasingly faced with a question of how to execute people with severe mental and physical health problems. She pointed to the fact that America's death row populations are getting older, and the average death row inmate spends 15 years awaiting execution. She added that harsh living conditions, including solitary confinement, only further exacerbate physical and mental illness. In news from around the world, Australian Cardinal George Pell, the former prefect of the Vatican Secretariat for the Economy, is behind bars in Australia after he was convicted of sexually abusing two 13-year-old choirboys in 1996 in the sacristy of Melbourne's St. Mary's Cathedral. A Vatican spokesman issued a statement at a recent press conference on news of the conviction.
The Holy See has commented on Cardinal George Pell being found guilty of 5 charges of sexual abuse in Australia. Vatican interim spokesman Alessandro Gisotti expressed the Holy See's shock at the painful news.
This is painful news that, as we are well aware, has shocked many people, not only in Australia. As already expressed on other occasions, we have the utmost respect for the Australian judicial authorities. Out of this respect, we await the outcome of the appeals process, recalling that Cardinal Pell maintains his innocence and has the right to defend himself until the last stage of appeal.
As they wait for the definitive judgment, the Holy See said it unites itself with Australian bishops to pray for all victims of abuse. They will do everything possible so the Church might be a safe home for all, especially for children and the most vulnerable. Pope Francis has implemented the precautionary measures and is waiting for a further assessment of the facts. Until a final decision has been made, Cardinal George Pell is forbidden from public ministry and any voluntary contact whatsoever with minors.
Cardinal Pell will remain behind bars ahead of his sentencing, which is expected to be March 13th. The Cardinal's lawyers have withdrawn a bid for bail while he awaits a decision on his appeal. More news from the Vatican. Pope Francis met recently at the Vatican with people taking part in a meeting to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the death of a German cardinal who was a leading biblical scholar that greatly influenced several documents of the Second Vatican Council, and particularly the Church's relationship with Judaism.
Pope Francis met with participants of a congress organized for the 50th anniversary of the death of Cardinal Augustin Bea, promoter of the dialogue between Christians and Jews. Cardinal Kirkcock explained one of Cardinal Bea's legacies.
Che ha dato il nome al centro che presso la Pontificia Università Gregoriana studia il giudaismo in modo approfondito e intende garantire una seria formazione al dialogo ebraico-cristiano.
The Pope proposed that dialogue between Christians and Jews take another step and move from the offices to the street.
L'amicizia e il dialogo fra ebrei e cristiani sono infatti chiamati a oltrepassare le frontiere della comunità scientifica. Sarebbe bello, ad esempio, che nella stessa città rabbini e parroci lavorassero insieme con le rispettive comunità al servizio dell'umanità sofferente e promuovendo via di pace e di dialogo con tutti.
The dialogue between Jews and Christians was relaunched during the Second Vatican Council through the document Nostra Aetate.
And finally in the news, during their general conference in St. Louis, United Methodist Church, the UMC, delegates voted to keep in place the ban on same-sex marriage and the ordination of LGTB clergy, leaving church bishops and pastors conflicted about the decision. Delegates voted 438 to 384 to approve the traditional plan, which says homosexuality is not compatible with the teachings of Christianity and institutes penalties for Methodist churches that allow same-sex marriage or the ordination of LGBT clergy. The traditional plan was elected instead of the one church plan, which would have left such decisions up to individual congregations. Delegates, that is, on both sides of the issues, gave testimony and offered arguments before the vote was taken. Reverend Jerry Kula, a delegate from Liberia, said that the traditional plan is not only traditional but biblical. It ensures God's word remains foundational to the life and growth of the UMC. I submit, he added, we love our LGBTQ friends. The United Methodist Church is America's second largest Protestant denomination and claims roughly 12.6 million members worldwide, including nearly 7 million in the United States. Well, that is all the information we have for you this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV network.